Well, the last time Argyle visited Vale Park, they collected the Sky Bet League One trophy. They'd already clinched promotion to the Championship and had done so by bringing up a century of points. Today's trip to Port Vale couldn't feel more different, with both sides floundering at the foot of the table. It's second bottom against rock bottom. The sides separated by a point, and neither have tasted victory in the league since the end of September. Argyle have an old face in to try and bring in some fresh new ideas to a team that's devoid of confidence. Remit number one for Derek Adams will be to quickly turn around the form of a side that has seen themselves lose their last six, as poor a run of form not seen in over 15 years. A vital game then for both sides, and all of the action is coming your way on Argyle TV. Hello, good afternoon. This is the Pre-Match Show on Argyle TV. I am Charlie Price. And, well, how did it all come to this? Those memories of celebrations in the sun back in 2023, a very distant memory for Argyle supporters. 4,000 members of the Green Army were up in Staffordshire that day. Just under 1,000 have made the trip today, hoping for a similar feeling of relief potentially. The euphoria of a couple of years ago won't be found, but a win could do wonders for Argyle. 15 matches into this season, not the position they expected to be in. Similarly for Port Vale, their fortunes haven't been too dissimilar. One of the lowest scorers in the league and pretty wretched at home. So something will have to give this afternoon. A lot on the line, a lot at stake. We've been starved of football recently, haven't we? So it is great to be back, even though Argyle always gives you those little horror thoughts and memories. It can all turn around very quickly, and we hope that does today. Now, if you haven't got your match passes, they are available to purchase online right now, and if you're a subscriber to Argyle TV, then you get all of your matches throughout the season as part of your subscription package. Now, joining me in the studio to help preview and look ahead to this lunchtime's kickoff is the former Argyle defender Mark Edworthy. Mark, I said, how did it all come to this? It's still early enough in the season where things can change, but it's been wretched, really, hasn't it, so far?
Yeah, it's been really difficult, Charlie, and hopefully I can bring some, spirit here today, and some winning spirit as well. We're approaching December now. I can't believe how time goes so quickly, but unfortunately, results haven't been great for both teams. A good friend of mine, Darren, up at Port Vale, he'll want to desperately change that around, and great place to go and play as well. Big pitch, which hopefully should suit Argyle. But we've got to get back to winning ways very quickly, Charlie. We really have.
What is it, do you think? And we'll talk about Port Vale a little bit later on, because they're in a similar position. But what is it about the run of results for Argyle recently? Like, as someone who's played the game, when you're looking at it, what can you see that hasn't gone right there?
Well, I've seen many games this season, and we've worked together, haven't we, a lot this season. At stages in the game we've been very good, but then also we've been very bad. Conceding poor goals, and I think the start of it potentially was it the Exeter away game. I watched that game, and for a local derby, the spirit, the result, obviously dictates a lot. And from then it seemed to be difficult watching. The Huddersfield game, the Mansfield game, games where we should have been better in, and we haven't. And all of a sudden, if you get into that period where you start losing games, confidence is a huge thing. The banter in the dressing room, the training can all be affected. So, you got to quickly wipe the slate clean, start fresh, trust yourself, trust your players you're playing with, and believe in yourself, which is huge, Charlie. I have been in this position that I've been at the top of leagues and I've been at the bottom leagues, and the mentality has still got to stay the same. You've got to believe in yourself and do the things at right stages in games.
Yeah, freshness actually has been the word of the week. We've heard it from a couple of people building up to this game. There may be some fresh faces back in the squad. There's one of them, Joe Edwards, involved hopefully today. Eamon Benarous, Joe Rules, potentially in line for an Argyle debut today as well. there are a number of players that are on their way back. This is the Argyle side. It shows a couple of changes from the loss to Huddersfield, which feels like a lifetime ago. It was a couple of weekends ago. Alex Mitchell comes back into the team, as does Bali Mumba. Obviously, Bradley Ibrahim's picked up this bad injury that's going to rule him out for months this season, Tom Cleverley was saying. So that's a bit of a blow. But those names on the bench, the returning Joe Edwards, the returning Eamon Benarous, and Joe Rules involved for the first time in an Argyle shirt. Should he come on, he will make his debut. There's also a pivotal day for Laurent Talai, who joined Argyle from Port Vale in the summer. So players coming back, Mark. Bradley Ibrahim will be a big miss. He's been one of Argyle's better performers so far this season. But I suppose in a weird way, if you lose someone, you've got the kind of boost of having a couple of players coming back. And we hear that Pleggy and Zavamici are not too far away as well.
Yeah, it's great to have them experienced players coming back, and it's opportunity as well. It's an opportunity for players to go and showcase their thing to the manager as well. But yeah, look, there's some experienced players there. Nice shot there of players looking, very happy, and there was no sort of doom and gloom going into the dressing room, which is always a good thing. I think you've got to keep that team spirit really high, even though you're struggling with results. I think that's massively important, because if you lose that and you lose trust in each other, then it really is an uphill task. So, yeah, I think today is a huge game. Let's kickstart it again, get a result up there today, and games change very quickly. Opportunity, we've played 15, other teams have played 16. We can narrow the gap, and just, the table can look a lot different after a few games, but it's got to start today, because we can't keep on saying when's the win going to come. Yeah,
absolutely. And now, one way a win could come today is maybe through Argyle's number 9, Laurent Talai. He scored 5 of Argyle's last 7 goals. He's scored our last 3. He's the joint top scorer in the league, which is quite amazing to say for a side that's bottom of the table. But he'll have a point to prove going back to his old club,
yeah,
won't he?
Exactly.
But he is one shining light this season.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's hit the ground running, hasn't he? I think he'd be shocked to think he's the position we're in as a club when signing. Well, what you like about him, Charlie, is he's aggressive. His work rate. When things have been difficult for him, games, he doesn't stop. I mean, that was a magnificent touch. And his finishes, great finish as well. So he's showcasing himself like any striker wants to. And no matter what's happened in the game so far this season, he shows up.
Yeah.
And he's reliable. And I think he's been frustrated at times when he hasn't got the service he deserves. And we've seen some fantastic goals and fantastic clips. And we were scratching our heads as well, thinking, why hasn't it happened this often? Because we've seen periods of Argyle in games where they've been excellent, but then the flip side of it is they've also been very poor for individual mistakes and unnecessary situations that are happening in games. But you can put that right. There's lots of games left in this league campaign, but it's got to start somewhere. You can't keep dwelling on it and say, when is the win going to come? When are we going to start changing that? Because it has been frustrating, the amount of errors we've seen as well defensively, and some of it's been a bit kamikaze. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, because I've seen them play excellent this season. So let's hopefully we can get back to that winning ways.
Yeah, and that is the other area of focus. Argyle are quite reliant on Talai. There's a bit of pressure with that, but they're also relying on the strikers, the forward players, Talai to score a goal to at least get a draw, because we haven't been able to keep clean sheets at all this season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The base is you're strong at the back, you keep a clean sheet. Someone like him is always going to give you an opportunity, but you've got to present that opportunity to him, give him the chances, and he will score. He's proven that. Look at them highlights, some fantastic goals, and his work rate. Sometimes he creates something from nothing, but if you feed him with the right opportunities, he's shown he's a quality act, and he want to go back there and do well. But I think he'll be surprised as well, the position he finds himself in. But I don't think he'll change. His mentality is to work hard and score goals, and he'll want to go back there and do well today.
Yeah, absolutely will. Well, Port Vale, just a point above Argyle, as I mentioned, in the table. They've been pretty consistent with their team selection over the last few weeks. But as Mark was mentioning, Darren Moore will want to try and get something from this game. They've made just the one change from their 0-0 draw last weekend against Wycombe, which was a step in the right direction, according to Darren Moore. That's at left wing back. So Jaheim Headley comes in for Marvin Johnson, who misses out altogether. Still no George Byers, one of those triumvirate of former Sheffield Wednesday players that know Darren Moore so well. He's an experienced midfielder. He's still not fit enough to be in the squad. Ben Waine, the former Argyle man, not involved at all. So goals, which have been sparse for Port Vale this season, will be looking to come from Devante Cole. They're an interesting one, Mark, because you look at the stats and they are one of the highest chance creators in the division. They've had the third most shots in the league. If you believe in XG, they're performing, well, this is why you shouldn't maybe in some cases, but they're performing 10 goals worse than what they should. They should have scored 10 goals more according to the stats. They don't score a lot of goals at all. No. And again, they've got one striker in Devante Cole who's got the majority of them. Yeah,
I think, both managers said about before maybe what's going wrong with both teams. I played with Darren at Derby, played against him, and even cleverly, the mentality of them, they're great young managers. I've seen them work on the training ground, I've seen them in the dressing room, and they'll be scratching theirs because they're doing the right thing. They say the right things, and obviously we're in the results-based business. And Darren will be. I've seen a few games this season. They've been excellent, and they've lost the game. So he'll be thinking, and that is a concern when you do play well, when you don't get the results. You said the stats there are against them, and we're same with Argyle. We've seen them at home and away. Should have been better, done well, and when they have done well, they've still lost games. So both managers are going to reflect on that. But the problem you've got with them is, well, the results, is they don't want to change their philosophy. Because that's their DNA, isn't it? That's what they work on day in, day out. And both managers, like I said, I've seen them work on the training ground, and the way they conduct themselves and the way they work are excellent. And yet them find themselves in a very awkward position in the league.
The bottom two spots. Let's get the thoughts of the head coaches now. We'll start with Argyle. It's been another interesting week in the world of Plymouth Argyle. No game last weekend. So that allowed Tom Cleverley to be able to give the players a little bit of time away from the pressure cooker that has been Home Park over the last couple of months.
I changed the schedule a little bit. Normally you reward wins with days off, but I think after a period of being on the road and some tough results, I think it was important to give the players a couple of days off to go home to see their families, to sort of really come out of the bubble of negativity that we were in. And I felt a real reset button this week in training. I feel the players have been bright, they've been mentally fresh, they've been really engaging, and so I've been pleased with the preparation for the Port Vale game. I think it was important that we're on the go now till middle of March, and it's a really brutal period, and it really does separate the men from the boys. November through Christmas, when it's every 3 days, and I wanted to freshen the players up for that period. So that's how our last 10 days has looked.
Yeah, how kind of important is it to get outside that bubble of negativity, as you said, because it has been, it's been such a difficult and disappointing, I suppose, month or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not us escaping from the reality of our situation, but it is us reflecting on why we're in this situation, and then us getting as fresh as we possibly can to attack a really important 10 games, 6 of them at home, which somewhere that we've not played for a long time. And yeah, in that period of time, we're getting 5 key players back very soon, and also that takes us into a transfer window as well. So the next 10 games are hugely important for us, and I wanted us to be as fresh as possible to attack that.
I want to get your thoughts on what he said there, Mark, about he would normally reward winning with days off. However, he did the opposite, because we haven't been winning. But he still gave the players the weekend off last weekend, a couple of extra days either side of it. And the reasoning was to kind of just get them out of the bubble of negativity.
Yeah, I think
good thing to do.
I think very good. Yeah, I think it gets time to spend time with their family, go back and reflect with their families, and even if they go out and go to the gym on their own for a walk, whatever they do in their their social time, and then come back fresh, ready, and then obviously they've got to then step up to the plate, haven't they, and go and produce and start winning games. But I think they'll go and reflect. Nobody likes losing games, and especially if you're not performing as well, and you're having a bit of a you're off form a little bit. They'll want to come back, and any professional player, Charlie, doesn't want to have a bad game. They want to come in and do well and prove a point, keep their place in the starting lineup. So I think for him to give those players that time to reflect, it is a good thing. And like I said, that's interesting. Players coming back, the transfer window in 10 games' time. We're only 25 games in then. It's still not the end of the world. There's still lots of games, lots of points to play for. So I'll be really interested in what happens in that period.
Yeah. The other aspect which we didn't play in that clip, but he spoke about it obviously, was the appointment of Derek Adams. Him coming in this director of football role. Someone who knows the club, has been around football for a very, very long time. Again, how do you see it working? What do you make of that move, that appointment, the relationship that might end up building them?
Well, the only way that's going to work is if they've got a good relationship. Simple as that. Because you've got a former manager coming back. He's going to have the experience of being at the club. He's been in these leagues. He's been in this position before. So hopefully they can speak to each other with respect, which I'm sure they will, because the appointment wouldn't have happened if that wasn't the case. And they can work together and find a way out of this situation they're in and move forward in a positive way, and go heading up the table and getting some results.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see as we go towards January, won't it? What happens around that transfer window? But people always see them as like little points of change, of difference. But they'd want to go into it with a little bit of form, of course. Port Vale, now they, as I mentioned, haven't won in the league since the 27th of September. They did, though, play last weekend and picked up quite a valuable point away against Wickham, at home against Wickham Wanderers, which has stopped the rot of 3 straight defeats. Here are the thoughts of their boss, Darren Moore, ahead of today's game.
We know the capabilities of what that club possesses, and we understand from their point of view, they're in the position that they're in the table. By any stretch or means, they shouldn't be there, but they are. And like I said, the fixture puts us both together head on Saturday. So we're looking forward to the game. There's parts of our week that we've continued to develop and train towards for the game on Saturday. And as I said on Saturday, it's a game where you got 2 teams fighting really hard for the 3 points.
Yeah, lots of similar sort of words from Darren Moore as it was from Tom Cleverley when talking about this game, saying it is a hugely important one. And it always is when teams are neck and neck in the table, aren't they?
It is, it's huge. And I think over the last sort of 6 games, Port Vale have got 3 from the last 6, 3 points, 3 draws. And Argyle actually got a win and a draw, so 4 points. But that's not enough points to return for them both. And it's a huge game, especially at home. They want to... they've had a draw against Wickham, as you said, 0-0. They want to go and win at home today, and like Cleverley, he'll want to go and get a result away from home. Amazing way to support. Again, 1,000 going up to Port Vale, long journey, huge pitch. I'm trying to think who that will suit. I think it potentially might suit Argyle, getting in behind, providing they look forward. I mean, it's a fantastic place to play football. But I remember speaking to Darren in the summer pre-season. I think they tried to reduce the pitch because we've both played there. It is a massive pitch. It is enormous.
Well, how much of a difference does that make, though, really? Because you look as a fan, you look at it and you think, well, it will only be a couple of metres, really, pitch sizes. But
I think correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, but I remember everybody at Port Vale. It is a huge pitch, and I don't know why, because obviously the rules and regulations and even the size, but I'm sure he reduced it in to make that. And like you say, people just say, it's a normal pitch, mark, it's a normal game, but believe me, I've played there and it's not. It was like very tiring, long way. Every pass seemed to, you have to put a bit more on it, but it's a fantastic place to play, great surface, so there should be no complaints.
Yeah, okay. On the game then, and on how we think it might end up playing, both sides struggling, confidence is low. Neither side are scoring a huge amount of goals. So what are the things that you're going to be looking out for in terms of how you feel this game might be won and lost?
I'd be interested. I think you'll be interested to see, is it a tentative start? I think Argyle, firstly, have got to go there and be hard to beat. See how the game works in the first 5-10 minutes. Don't concede early. It is key for any game, isn't it, away from home. Don't give the home side any advantages. So be strong, be organised, keep to the game plan, which I'm sure Cleverley got. And then when the opportunities do come and present themselves, we've got someone like Talai out there who can take the opportunity. But when we've scored, and we've seen it so often this season, we seem to retract and don't do the good things that have got us in front. That's what I'd like to see Argyle build on. We've got ourselves in front. How do we get ourselves in front and build on that? Because so many times this season we've scored, and then for some reason retreated, invited too much pressure, and conceded too many goals. So,
having said that, the defence being as sort of porous as it has been this season, 28 goals conceded, which is the joint most in the league. Do you think there'll be a kind of a cautious approach to that because they know that is a weak area?
It potentially will be if they allow themselves to think like that. But I think you've got to be confident. You've got to become hard to beat and do the simple things well. And defend. You're there as a defender. Defend well. Some players embrace defending and they want to do well and make sure the opposition doesn't get the better of them. And that's exactly what they've got to do today. Yeah.
And just a final point on this game being as kind of crucial as the two managers have made it out. It is the start of a run that goes into Christmas, through the new year. And there's relentless amount of matches. There's now no breaks. There's no international breaks or anything like that. So it is, you get through a lot of work from now until kind of the beginning of March almost.
Yeah, approaching the festive period, as you said, Charlie.
And you need to get off to a good start, don't you? You need to kind of get onto a run.
I think today's a massive game. It really is. I know they're all big games, but today, as you rightly said, going into this festive period, I know we're approaching the end of November. The festive period is packed with games, isn't it? They come thick and fast, and there's a lot of games in that period of time. I think today could dictate how you go into that. If you lose today, going into that huge run of games, I think whatever manager ends up on the winning side this afternoon is going to be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah. If there is a loser today, the side that loses will end up bottom of the table. Argyle will be wanting to try and avoid that. They'll have to win if that is to be the case. We're pretty much done then with our build-up. The talking is done. It is over to the players. Just a reminder that if you haven't got your match passes or you're not subscribed to Argyle TV, then go and do that right now. pafc.co.uk is the place to go. Just hover over the Argyle TV tab. Individual match passes are there, but also you can subscribe annually or on a month-by-month basis, and every single game throughout the season will be part of your subscription package. Fond memories then of playing at Vale Park the last time that Argyle visited. Very different circumstances this time around, but will the Green Army be travelling back down south with smiles on their faces again? We certainly hope so. Joel Grant and Rob McNichol will be your commentary team in Vale Park, and Argyle against Port Vale is up next.